Some modifications and activities discussed in this podcast should not be attempted or recreated. Make sure to keep the mods legal and obey the laws of the road and keep routine ages. Welcome everyone to the Limited Slip Differences podcast, where me and Michael constantly try to make this sound better, probably making it sound worse. But anyway, welcome to the podcast.
Is that actually how we're starting? You're rolling with it.
Fuck it. You've ruined it.
Right, keep going. Right, we've done it. Go.
I'm Conor. This is Michael.
I am Michael. I ruined Conor's intro. Apparently, Conor thought that was this depressing intro was the way to start this, and I may have fucked it up on him. But
yes, and we're talking in the discs.
Yeah, we're talking in the discs. So thank you, everybody of YouTube. You should be thankful. You know, no long fuck.
I'm still talking too loud. But anyway, so
you can no longer see my ugly mug. I think so. I'll not break your screen, which is fantastic. I was surprised I haven't broke that camera yet.
He will not spread COVID.
That's not even a thing anymore, is it? I don't really want to get COVID talk.
But anyway, welcome to the podcast. We're in episode 6 now.
Yes, 6. We're in
no further forward.
Again.
But anyway, so
we've got these. We've been listening to people.
Yes,
you talk too loud.
Inherently,
and I talk too quiet.
Inherently, right? I was told, advice-wise, that I was quite a quiet person.
Yes.
They do not think that anymore.
No.
But anyway,
there's a compliment in there somewhere.
Yeah. Yes, there is. But welcome to the podcast anyway. The podcast where me and Michael talk all things cars, tractors, and have
on occasion
talked
to it was supposed to be this whole thing of cars, tractors, and lorries, and like we kind of know cars and tractors,
and
fuck all about lorries, like other than stints in Euro Truck Simulator.
And this is version 6 of the intro that's going so well. But anyway,
I don't think we're ever will be on like episode 140 and we'll still be fucking up the intro. Like I was going to say you'll still be fucking up the intro, but
at least
it's your job. But
at least know how to say the podcast name these days. But anyway, so Michael,
hello.
What has been up with you since the last podcast?
Well, first of all, I have a really itchy nose.
That's not fucking useful.
Right.
That's not useful at all.
So when we done the last podcast, if you may remember, I was fucking dying.
You were, yeah.
I was not well.
To be fair, actually, it's a lot milder. Well, if you stand outside the shed,
it's probably like 7 degrees or something.
Yeah, it was about 10 or 11 whenever I was going over anyway.
It's not hot weather. Last podcast was still hot weather.
Yes, it was.
It was so cold when we done that last podcast.
My hands are in my pockets because I'm still quite cold, but then you never seem to be cold ever. But
I'm dead on.
But yeah, what's happened with you since the last podcast?
Well, other than being a bit unwell and trying to edit, Conor, I have come down something serious with the busy. I have been absolutely done with the busy.
Bad disease, lads.
Bad disease. I have been flat out with the busy. No,
is it contagious? Because it seems to be, because I've been on but fucking busy.
I was going to say you've done nothing but idle, but I can't even say that because you're actually not a bad old grafter, to be fair. Like, plus, you've been severely helpful to me. So,
that's no bother.
On air, thank you for your help.
No, you're grand.
This is a wholesome podcast now.
Where Michael doesn't slate personal companies, but he thanks his friend.
That's funnier. That shouldn't be as funny as it is. But so like, after we recorded that last podcast, I like hammered the editing out to try and get it all done as soon as possible, which left us pretty late to start getting the car ready for Dubshed. That being said, I was waiting on a lot of parts, arriving. So anyway, started building the car back up. Had a mess about with spacers and getting new nuts and all that there, which doesn't actually seem like there's much, but I won't say when you're trying to get fitment, which I'm not even aiming for now, but you're trying to make it look right. Like, I wasted probably a little bit of money, like, that I shouldn't have.
You wasted money?
Yeah, just trying to get different bits and pieces, to try and get different bits and pieces. And then the best bit about this whole thing is it come to 8:30 on Thursday night and the car hadn't even been started. So we were going to Dubshed on the Friday and the car hadn't even been started come 8:30 on the Thursday night. But you know what I have learned, Conor?
What have you learned?
I have learned that if I do something stupid, I now can use it as podcast material.
We're in episode 6 and you only realise that now?
Everything's a win. Everything's a win. So, yes, what happened? So, got the car, had got Ali to do bits of fabrication for me. Again, because it's Ali and I'm useless, so now I get him to do all the tidy stuff.
Yeah,
So,
of course.
me and you were up on Tuesday night there past.
We were.
And got bits and pieces well.
Hold on. We were up on Tuesday past. I was told, we'll be there and back, not be too late. Aye.
What time we get home at?
Well, we tried to go through
Derry, stroke London Derry. It was fucked.
At 12 o'clock at night, and I kindly said to Michael, no offense, lad, I'm fucked. I'm sleeping. And I blinked and I was at home.
Yeah,
great, I was like a teleported
you
myself.
fell asleep in like Drumahoe. But like, the whole water side was closed off. Couldn't get through it. They're doing roadworks. So, and I don't know the water side that well. I know the city side pretty well now. I kind of have to, otherwise back will beat me over the head. More so.
You're there enough.
I'm there enough. So, the water side I don't know at all. And
Like you're near Muff enough.
Near Muff enough. Down at the Muff Diving Club. There's actually a Muff Diving Club. There's a Facebook page. Honestly, go check it out.
You dirty-minded boy. That's not the first thing came to my head.
What came to your head? Cheap diesel. You can tell you're a farmer, miserable. Anyway, so it come to Thursday night. Anyway, I had the car sort of sitting as how I wanted it. Hadn't started it yet. Decided, right, got everything set up, put together, wired up, piped up, or so I thought. Spoiler alert. And when I turned the car on, the car started. I was like, fuck, happy days, this is deadly. And then looked at the AFR reader. And
is that the air to fuel ratio?
Yeah.
For people that maybe wouldn't know that.
Yeah, sorry, yeah. Well, actually, I do it in a thing called Lambda. And basically, when your car is running well, on idle, it should read 1.
Okay, yeah.
Right? Mine's was reading 0.6, which for the layman terms means it's throwing ridiculous amount of fuel into the car.
So bore washing.
In layman's terms, basically, you're putting that much petrol on, you're damaging your engine, yes.
So you were technically flooding the engine.
Yeah. So I left it idling and got it up to temperature to see if it would change and nearly gave myself poisoning in the process. I had a wheel there. Moved it out of the way to be tidy, but the wheel was lying behind. It's one of the Granada wheels. It's black. So whenever petrol burns so excessively, it comes out of your exhaust black.
I always thought it was due to, partly thought it was due to maybe if you're driving your car very easy for a while and then you give her Dixie, then a puff of black smoke is the carbon build up in the exhaust getting fucked out.
Not even. Well, maybe. I just know if there's excess carbon because you're burning that much fuel. And that's what you were seeing in my car. Like, well, you wouldn't have seen it, but I literally reversed it out of the shed then and put the foot down. Honestly, it may have well have been a Bora or a Reiki limiter. Like,
so Thursday night, car not work. Friday, what'd you change?
Well, I took it up the road, or on, and then as soon as you got to 3,000 RPM, it started like spluttering and just leaning out. Leaning out is the opposite of running rich. Leaning out is when you're not getting enough fuel into your car, and basically your cylinder temperatures get that hot, and shit melts.
That's not good.
That's not good. So was like, right, okay. Got her home, and then Ali rung me and was like, right, what's happened? And I was like, I have these lines in, and in the midst of all this, also had messaged Lloyd Patterson, who's mapping it.
Yeah.
And he helped me set up the throttle body conversion and all. So, but Ali rung me anyway, and I was like, have you definitely the right pipe plugged in till your vacuum lines? Because there's the vacuum lines going to the inlet manifold.
Okay.
And I was like, aye, sure, if the two big lines plugged in and if the wee small line like left just lying there. And he was like, and do you know what each of those lines are? And I was like, well, I assumed like the two big lines was the lines I needed. And Ali just went, never assume.
Because you make an ass out of you and an ass out of me.
So, yeah. Turns out that I was running my fuel pressure regulator off one vacuum line, so that was fine. Another line was just going to a boost gauge. And the third line, which is the map sensor line, which is basically tells my ECU, like sort of like what the air situation is with the car, wasn't there. So the ECU was just going, the fuck do I know about what this car's doing right now? It's
So the ECU done a Michael, and then Michael
ECU was
realised,
going-
and then Michael changed the
the
situation.
ECU's like, this boy's revving this car, but I don't know what the hell we're doing, so fuck it. Just do this. And pretty much that's what happened. So swapped that about. Car ran fine. And then we drove to Dubshed. And on the way
It
to,
went smoothly.
apart from it went coming up the hill of the new lane from Tim. And I decided to do a pull past you to the speed limit.
Yes.
And
I was only sitting at 50, to be honest.
that's right.
I was only
You're only sitting at 50. That's right. And I was coming up the hill, and I was like, right, well, I'll give it a, I'll give it a run here now. And fifth gear up this hill, I'll just stick the foot in her to 70 and see what she does. Because this will be the hardest on her. Everything was reading good, so I was like, happy days.
Yeah.
And I put the foot down, and as I got up to speed and kind of came on boost, I just heard this noise. And I
That's
was
not
like,
good.
And I was like, oh, shit, okay. And next thing, I took my foot off the accelerator, and the car kept revving. And I was like, oh, I know what this problem is. So got her pulled into a lay-by then, and you probably didn't hear because you were behind me, but it was just like going,
No, I just seen you.
Like
I just seen you pull into a lay-by and went, oh, for fuck's sake, what's wrong now?
And got to the lay-by, and I hadn't tightened up one of the new idle control lines. Thought I had.
You think too much.
No, I don't think enough. Is that not the problem here?
Well, you thought you had.
I thought I had. I think about thinking and not actually doing. So done that and drove her on to Dubshed and pushed her on for now. Drove fairly cannily to Dubshed. Me and you took her easy then up the road.
Fear to something else happening, yeah.
I did a couple of wee small pulls, but like none, just so I could hear
None
the
too
turbo,
drastic.
just so I
none
could hear the
too
turbo
drastic.
flutter. But
Like fucking child. Well, I can't talk.
But then got the Dubshed, and to be fair, fantastic weekend. Only you weren't there yourself for you'd other commitments. It was nice like seeing everybody out again and seeing all the gang about. And,
Yeah. Oh well, there.
I mean, you were there on Friday, so
I
you
was there
still
on
got to
Friday
see
night.
everyone. Like, but I was laughing at Paddy Higgins there, saying he pulled up, Kraft was parked, and then like Paddy Higgins pulled up and beside him, and I was like, Jesus, Paddy, you drive all the way to Belfast to end up still stuck beside your neighbours. So was talking to them as well. Then it was nice. It was just nice in general, like, and it was nice to see everybody's car looking well. After that Thursday night, whenever I got the car going, I went to help Kraft and stick like the spoilers to his Laurel. It was
Yeah.
nice to see the Laurel out too.
Just
to be fair, generally good weekend. Everything went well. Nothing blew up. Nothing broke on the way home from the show. Touch wood.
Touch the table.
And then we said take the Sierra out.
Touch the table. That's the only wood.
Took
bit
the
there.
car out tonight.
You're not
as well.
Pinocchio.
Yeah, true. Took the car out tonight just for an RE
Your
test
nose
run.
might be itchy for a reason.
And car still went okay,
It did.
I think.
It did. It did.
So
it did.
that's everything in the world of Michael. Yourself? What's the crack with you then? What's up? What's new with you?
Well, not much car related, to be fair.
Well,
Stuck the plate on.
weren't we supposed to do that the night after that last podcast?
Michael, per wee pet, had to go to bed, and even though I had stickies no with me, yeah, we walked out and we were like, fuck this.
It was so cold, Conor.
I know, fuck this, but took the car home that at night actually, and she was dusty and all that there from lying in your shed. Drove home, and then the following day flew to London. So I had done the Rabbit the night before we recorded last podcast,
Yes.
and then flew to London and became a tourist which I have not really been before. How to be a tourist whenever you're a farmer. Go to the highest point, i.e. the Shard in London. And you see fucking everything then. Took a photo. Oh, I've seen Buckingham Palace. I've seen the London Eye. I've seen...
It's actually so true.
the Sky Garden. Huh? Sure, don't need to see anything else.
Sure, how did you go there? I've already seen it. Look, we can see it there. Sure, we're 3 miles from it. Sure, there it is. Look, there it is.
Exactly. And John knows something. It was that clear day. I could see a few planes going on, so we did a bit of plane spotting. This is not a podcast about planes. But anyway. Well, they're mentioned.
So, it's a podcast about a podcast, though. So, you ended up going where?
Oh, yes. Jeez, I never forgot.
I was trying to lead you into that there and everything, and it just fucking...
So, I was at the...
I might just have to edit that with, like, the computer noise, dial-up tone I put whenever you go blank. I started doing in all the videos.
Yes.
I might have to do that again.
To be fair, Michael might edit that into me, but that's him fucking 95% of the time when it comes to a car.
It's true. Yeah, it is.
Michael's car was started, wasn't going right. Error 404.
Error 404, car not running.
But yes, no, I went and seen the Two Johnnies podcast. I'll give it to them.
Yeah.
We are
shite.
We are fucking...
well, I mean, to be fair, Conor, like...
We're in a different universe, lad.
Well, we're doing this in a coiled shed with... Well, we have 3 cameras, 2 which are held up by axle stands and 1 which held up by a transmission jack.
Do you know something, though? One thing from listening to theirs, so they were saying if they got whatever amount in years to come and all that, they would say about, we would do this, or like, their festival they've coming up and that, pints in a field. Oh, well, they were going to call it cans in a field.
Yeah.
If we were to ever to do something similar, it would be a DJ and a cattle pen and a load of IS200s and then D-turbos in the standby for the bit of reek.
I think that would be a fantastic seller. There would be people that would go to that ironically, and there would be people that would go to that with the pure love of it. And all the tunes have to be Clubland classics.
And the tagline for it would be limited slip, can you diff?
Could have a cone in the middle.
And let us be the judges.
I want to say watch this space, but also I don't want to say watch this space because this is us shitballing.
Oh,
this is us not saying, so keep the date free. No. We've got like 3 followers. So
maybe in 5 years.
Years time. To be fair, like I would love to do something like that. I would love to do something like that. Like down the line, if we could ever get somewhere. Well, Eglinton's not a place anymore, from what I've seen.
Like realistically,
somewhere like Bishop's Court or maybe the Quarry.
If the one time with Bill Tiller on, we'd be up talking shite. Nobody would be paying attention to us, which I would understand.
I wouldn't pay attention to me either.
And then a pile of ISD100s and all the crack going mad around us. But anyway, no, that was very good over there. They were, to be fair, class.
Yeah. Would expect nothing less.
And ended up going. Went up to Birmingham then. So a wee bit
Birmingham
car related. Well, go-kart related.
Oh, okay.
Had to go on electric go-karts.
I can't even knock the electric stuff.
Holy fuck.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you know the way obviously you jump into a petrol go-kart and, you have like 5 seconds of lag till she picks up a bit and she goes. Electric. It's fucking goes.
Just go.
And then you have a boost button.
Yeah.
A fucking boost button.
Yeah. So, does it work like off your brakes? Or does it just work off like a...
No. Just you go around the lap and you come to the straight and it's like, I've got a boost button. Happy days.
But does it run out?
Oh, it's like 2 seconds. Does it give you much extra? Not really.
It's just probably there for the...
But they do... Well, they're meant to do up to about 45, 50 miles an hour.
Probably. They probably do, to be fair.
It felt more like 50k. 45, 50k.
Depends. I suppose it depends on the size of the track too, but like as much as I'm not
a fan... It was a large indoor shed, like, so I would like 30 mile an hour at the most. But 30 mile an hour in a closed
space
is fucking flying, like. But no, just basically was touring about without the hooring. And yeah, no, it was good crack. Went and got on a plane for the first time in God knows how long, and then came back, went to the port that Sunday. Turns out it is not acceptable to go on the limiter everywhere in the port.
I forgot about that. I actually forgot that happened.
So
that was the cruise on the 19th, wasn't it? That was
yes.
like the first big day of the port.
So I had the milking to do that evening. Thought, oh, fuck it, I'll go down for an hour. I was there about 15 minutes. The usual, the young cubs out, asking you to later up and stuff.
Which you have to oblige now. You've been preaching it now in the podcast.
You have to practice what you preach.
Absolutely.
And then instead of a Gospels fella preaching a load of dung about God, that was the police preaching about how it's not acceptable to do what I was doing. So yeah, to be fair, they're only doing their job. Like I can't knock them doing their job, but
like
didn't even know it was a rule that you can't be in the limiter or you could have your car seized.
I doubt you could get your car seized. I doubt that. I highly doubt that.
There was one or two apparently did get seized, but the MOT centre and all was open. But
see,
going back to the thing though of think about it, like I know it's basically social media. Like it's not hard to go onto it, see when these things are happening because there I went for a wee jaunt last night, which would have been Sunday, the same day as Dubshed was on. So ended up the way the day worked out, it was fit to get away there and thought, screw it, it's nice evening, go up to the port, and there wasn't one about. Whereas with the cruise on, now we obviously can't help it, like it's there to let people know it's on and that, but
normally they get called it. That's why I kind of prefer going to the port like when it's not a big, like just a random sunny Sunday evening is kind of why I prefer that. And then the police will come and maybe block off the roundabout because the town's chocker blocked and you're sitting there for about 50 months like waiting on the boy in front of you to move.
Well, like, do you mind the rally last year? I thought that was right.
Poison.
See the likes of say if you're going to have something like that on, like, yes, there's going to be boys that's going to rev their car for the young fella and all that.
Yeah.
Older and younger, older probably, and you're more expensive. Yes.
Yeah.
Like, let that go. I know it's a nuisance to residents and all that, but it's only for a couple of hours. They'll live, and yes, past 11 o'clock with curfew. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, of course.
It'd be annoying then. Yes.
Yeah.
But like, if somebody's spinning the wheels of that, like at Letterkenny last year, the Blues and Twos came on, the guards were on them straight away. Whereas they let the revving go, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, they're happy enough.
Nobody's at risk when you're revving, whereas somebody is obviously at risk if something goes wrong with the wheel spinning.
I think they know they can do nothing about the revving, so there's no point in completely shutting things down. But I think if someone is deciding to act the big man and going sideways, like you kind of need to nip that in the bud before the next person then say someone like me starts feeling a bit brave and then ends up wiping out 5 spectators. Like what happened? Did you see the video of your BMW in England there?
Oh,
the chrome or mirror wrap BMW come out of Tucked, and he sunk the boot in her, and the next thing she like spun and he ended up bashing her into a lamppost, and there was like 5 people around him. I don't think any of them.
For anybody that's watched Furious 7 where the young fella goes, cars can't fly. Apparently a car flew into a shed at the weekend.
See that? We should probably have left these bits for the end, but yeah, up a roundabout and then straight through a roof into a basketball court, wasn't it?
Or he was probably going, wee at the time.
I would say he's probably going, oh fuck! Or he could have been asleep at the wheel. You wouldn't know, to be fair. But Conor, we have talked a lot more shit than we probably should have.
Holy shit!
Yeah, look at the time. We should, yeah. So normally you introduce this, but
you're going to do it this time.
I'm going to try and be the one to steer. This is going to go horribly wrong. But the topic of this week, Conor, is something I've been thinking about, probably more than I should, because it doesn't really affect anybody's life that much. But I've been thinking, given like how secondhand stuff costs a lot these days, but new stuff is, in my opinion, nearly unobtainable.
Unattainable.
Is that the word? Right, okay. I'm not even adding that out because that shows just me being me. It's something I've been thinking. If you're a farmer, now my thoughts originally was if you were like kind of like a part-time farmer wanting something bigger, or a small to middling dairy farm or a beef farmer, but it could really be for anybody.
So basically a medium-sized farm,
Basically, it could be you, or well,
50 to 100 cattle sort of size.
if even. Basically, what I was trying to say was, if you needed something, well, about a power, about 150 horsepower, maybe your tractor before that was, I don't know, a TS 115 or something like that, and you were looking to move up in the world.
Yeah.
I suppose my question that I'm asking here is, would you, if you were given, say, 25 or 30 grand,
Okay.
would you spend that on, say, the likes of a modern classic? So, would you buy like a 6480, or would you go down the route of which you yourselves have, and say put that 25, 30 grand down as a deposit and finance like something new, like for your sake, a 6715S?
Well, therein lies the thing. So it depends. Are you using your TS as collateral? As in, are you trading it in?
No, this is kind of where, this is why I didn't want to say like sort of a bigger dairy farm and stuff, because they'll obviously have more than one tractor. I'm thinking about the person who maybe has like, maybe they already have a 115 horsepower tractor, they're planning on keeping that, and they just want something bigger.
Some to do all the heavy work.
Some to like pull a 2,000 gallon tanker, or maybe put a 12 or 14 ton silage trailer on. Now there's people who'll be saying you can put a 14 ton silage trailer on behind a TS. I know that, but just for argument's sake.
Well, suppose there's one way to put it. There's a very simple answer to it, and it is: do you want repair bills or do you want finance? And to be fair, right now at the minute, 150 horse. Say more you're selling New Holland.
Yeah.
I think a T7 to right. So first of all, depends what size you want the tractor to be. Because if you've got low roofs and all that there, you ain't gonna fit like a New Holland in, because they're humongous for like your size, your tractor size ratio to your power. So like a T7 200, I think is like the modern day TM 155.
Would be, yep.
Something similar.
Indeed,
Put the two beside one another. It's like fucking a 35 and a 6480. Not just quite that much, but
no,
like
but
it would be like your 110 and my tractor. That's like
yeah. I never actually thought about the low roofs, even though that's a problem here because all our sheds were built in the 80s.
Or
but it's not actually something I was considering. So we'll just maybe coughing in the middle of this. Something we'll maybe just leave out. Just say
fair enough, right?
So just say
everything's
everything's accessible. Yeah. So some way of going for a small to middling farmer. He's got the little farm here.
Well, I suppose the best way to think of it is like your 150 horse tractor brand new. So if you're going John Deere, from what I'm being told, could be a load of poo, you're talking 140k.
So that 30 grand that someone's handing you doesn't really go much.
Your New Holland is about things. Your New Holland's about 115. And if I can think right, my own, which is 150, is we were told, say roughly about 100. Now I know that sounds like, whoa, why is the massey cheaper? But you're talking about a 4-pot, not a 6-pot.
Aye.
4-cylinder versus 6-cylinder.
Yeah.
So if you're going down, I suppose, a 6-cylinder route, probably the likes of your new 7S dot, say 155 or something, could be more expensive because
absolutely it would
because
be.
different gearbox and stuff. But anyway, you probably it'd be a no-brainer to probably buy a modern classic. Like realistically, depends. Obviously, ideal world. If you have a TS, well, the first thing that comes into my head, like you there's no real point buying an 8340 because a TS 115 is exactly what is just the new version of an 8340.
Pretty much, yeah.
If you've
I would rather have an 8340, and I know you definitely would rather have an 8340.
Well, yeah, that would be like, I don't know what it is.
Is your dream tractor?
Yes. You have the likes of an 8360, but how many haven't been around the clock 3 or 4 times?
Well, that's what I was thinking. Like realistically, but you buy some at 10,000 hours now. If the head's been done, say, again, argument's sake, you could say, you could get a clinker at 5,000 hours. But even if something was at 10,000 hours and you knew it had, like, you knew the head had been done, you knew maybe the gearbox had been done, it had good tires, etc. You knew it was mechanically perfect. And, pardon me again, like, you're not doing you're not doing insane hours. You know, it's not like you're a contractor. You know, it does a little bit here now every week, so it's not putting massive hours on either.
Well,
I
like-
wouldn't be against even some with the higher hours.
So with 30 grand's a budget, so like a real good 40 series, you're looking 25.
Yeah.
F140 Fiat, probably not far off it.
A bit cheaper. I didn't think you would suggest an F-140 Fiat, but
Because at the end of the day, them tractors, I know like an 8340 is 125 out of the factory, but
Yeah.
you're realistically going
There's
to
not
screw
a-
it a bit.
there's not an 8340 in the country, less
But-
than 150. Like,
But because of the big displacement engine and that,
Yeah.
and the later ones are turboed.
well,
they
the,
can
all
take it.
8340s were turboed, were they not? The 8240s were non-turbo.
Oh, the 8240
all
was non-turbo.
8340s were turboed.
Massey wise, you'd be looking at say a 6270 or 6290.
A
Probably
6290 and a 6290 is hard got now. They're a very, very attainable, like they're a desirable tractor.
they are. Well,
Very desirable.
suppose
tractor. And
they're
for
like-
good reason. They are class.
well, yes, true. But at the same time, 25. Now, funny, recently heard from someone that I think it was a 6270. They give 20 for it not way long ago, and I
It's a
think
lot
they're
for
about
a
100.
6270.
I think they're what
120?
120 or so.
Yeah.
Again, you could screw them, but I don't know if the Perkins engine in them likes it as much, or maybe they could be.
Are they? I don't know enough about them. I don't know whether they're something you screw or whether they're something you map.
I don't think they're.
I don't know
New
enough
enough.
about them to know.
I'm not talking about the whole here, but I'm not entirely sure. Let me think. What else would you have?
Like for-
6910 John Deere.
Yes.
You're going to be hard find to press it. You know, get a decent one
Yeah.
for 25 or so.
Yeah.
And plus, you can go. You know, the last them came with was it Auto Quad? No, Per Quad.
Per
and then
quad, you
50K,
TLS,
you get
50K,
50K.
to 6910S.
Shout out to McLaren Contracts. They still have one.
Seriously?
They have one. She's
Unreal.
50k. I'm near sure, but she's 50k, but she definitely is TLS.
A six,
She's now their loader tractor.
Jesus. 6810, to be fair, is one of my all-time, like 6810 John Deere's is one of my all-time favourite tractors. I can actually remember when the boys that used to put our silage in years ago, like, there was, started with a 3650, which, deadly.
Oh no,
and
definitely.
Then,
yes.
And then a 6400. And the 6400 was, at that time, like in 2000, was modern and was a big tractor back in
Actually,
2000.
there you go. Well, I suppose 6480 tier 2. You're bound
No,
to be.
6400.
Aye, no. But well, I know what you mean. Yes, but I'm thinking 6480 tier 2. Probably you maybe get around that money.
They're making big money now.
Fair enough.
They are making big money.
I can't say. I haven't exactly been looking at Facebook Marketplace or Donedeal or that. Other makes doubts having a fucking clue.
Having a clue.
Sammy having a fucking clue. Suppose they're the same thing.
Well, like, yeah,
Case.
you get a 130. Is that
MXM case,
you go for an
150.
MXM 150. Or,
and
yeah,
you're essentially buying a
you're
TM.
essentially
Well,
buying a TM.
You could say TM, but you wouldn't get a TM at that fucking price.
30.
Oh,
At higher, if you knew all the work was done higher, like that's actually what I would go for.
A TM,
TM 155 range command, the 05 model.
you get a per command around that money though. You wouldn't get a range command. Range command would be more near 40 if
I
she's real good.
wouldn't be against the per command because I drive a per command for Donedeal.
But they do
They
sap
sap
the per.
the per something shocking out of the gearbox. Like they're a much.
So you're talking about the first of the TMs,
no, well,
the series. You know, the first series with the old style cab and all on it.
no, I'd be talking about the last of the TMs. The ones is the blue and yellow
Yes,
sticker up the
yes.
side. So you had the TM 150, and then you had the black and white sticker TM,
Yes.
and then you had the yellow and blue sticker TM. I would go for a yellow and blue. So 05, roughly, I think they
Yes.
were.
Uh,
That's what I'd be going for.
let me see other makes. JCB.
know nothing
No.
about them.
Know nothing about them.
3-1. I think JCBs are making good enough money now, though.
They're
Is
more
that
haulage tractor.
3185 or something?
Nah.
Like apparently very hard got.
They're a flying machine,
Oh yeah.
but not for like a livestock farmer.
When I was on site actually in England there in Cumbria, one of the boys on site, he had like a trailer, Hiab trailer in. And
okay, yeah,
he's 22. He's 2 JCBs. And like he's an engineer, but he also does a bit of haulage, and that's what he drives as the JCBs. Like,
Do you want to know something? Actually, it's come into my head. There wouldn't be the most popular thing about
right?
at the minute still. Anyway, they do lose a lot of money on themselves. Class. An Arian 640 or something, 170 horse. They're a John Deere engine
Yes.
with a bit. Well, they came out with their better head gasket. They're a Massey back end with a Massey gearbox. So you have the best of both worlds. Looked after well, there's nothing wrong with them.
Sure.
They're essentially a Dyna 6. Made it till, I think, I drove a 650 before. And I'd say some of the early new shape ones, you know, the ones with a different cab,
Mm-hmm.
they're bound that I don't think they'd be making away a lot of money because who wants one?
I drove a 696, so that was basically still a rental.
Yeah.
At that point, class had bought over the rentals, and I drove one of them, and yeah, it was dead on. Like, wasn't incredible, wasn't terrible. It was a good enough tractor to drive. Like,
What would be the equivalent Voltra as well? I absolutely know bugger all with them.
T150 probably. Do you get a T150? The new ones would be like a T154 or something.
Because all Ico now, or well, your Massey and I think Fenton, all that, you know, around that
Valtra.
horsepower is all Valmet or Sisu per or Ico per range as they are
Valmet,
now.
Isn't it, or something?
And they're like, you know, they're fairly bulletproof of it as long as they look after themselves.
Well, like all engines, I suppose you could say, to an extent.
But like realistically, if you're buying brand new and you're going in with 30 grand, you're just working to pay off your tractor.
See, and that's just where I think. So that's why I didn't want to say. That's why I specifically didn't say contractor, and I didn't say like big dairy farm that's maybe got 400 head of cattle and does all their own silage.
Yeah.
Like, that's a different, and I can see why you would be buying a tractor because you're always going to be you'll use it for 3-4 years, trade it in, have a good bit of money on it, keep paying. You're essentially paying the same monthly payment all the time and just trading your tractor in.
Well, I was chatting to a fella probably about a month and a half ago, and they had literally the size of John Deere. Now, every 6145 and 6155 R series John Deere is sitting at 210.
Oh yeah,
every one of them. Now,
is that Brian Horner special? Is it
probably McErlean special?
Right. Okay.
I think they map away a lot of them too. But
right. Oh, Lockbag.
Yes, Lockbag.
Right. Yeah.
But like, I drove a 175.
Right.
Standard unmapped.
Okay.
Heap of dung.
Right.
Now, yes, don't get me wrong. Like, our series inside, unreal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, see, whenever you're sitting in that thing 17 hours a day, class, you have your small fridge, lots of room. You actually have a good sound system and all that there in it, so you can listen to your tunes. Roomy cab, aircon's good, all the crack. But see, for pulling power and that thing, now it had a direct drive gearbox.
Right. Well,
not sure if it saps much power or not, but wild dead. Like, for the size of the tractor, very dead. Could have been just that a 175 not set up as too little power for the size of the tractor.
Maybe.
But like, I suppose that all comes down to your power to weight. But like,
you would see that as well with the T7s. Like,
I don't get the whole numbering scheme of them. Why are they putting what the theoretical boost power is?
It's a hyper. So basically, like I think it's a 145 case is like the same as a 190. New Holland.
Do they boost that much?
Something like that.
What is the point? Suppose fuel consumption and stuff.
It's basically you put them on up, but like,
do you ever drive on it? Well, at the time I drove,
I've driven a T7 190, yeah. Because Darren had his, and then
the boost lights on all the time.
He got his tweaked there, and he didn't really change too much to the power, but the torque curve was completely different, and T7s need a map to wake them up. They're a completely different tractor. Even the way the New Holland sell T7s now is just like ridiculous when you see actually what you can get out of them. I don't know whether it's to do with emissions or what it is.
Probably is to do with emissions.
They are dead boxes coming out of the factory, and then you put a tweak on them, and suddenly you've got an animal of a machine. Like,
well, like there's ours at home. We have the 6715, and like got her tweaked slightly.
Yes.
And wow. That's all I'm going to say is just wow. Like, She's 177 out the shaft. And the torque had went up 20%.
I
And
know all about it this year with the silage.
went for a load of cubicle lime.
Oh, that would soon test her.
And came up the hill, going up to Newbridge Church.
Just past.
So
on
you're going
Dockham
up,
Road,
so you're tomb bound. You're going up that real bad hill.
Yes.
Before, dropped 3 gears down to 4A.
Right.
After, barely had to drop 1 gear. That's some difference. And in regards to the weight, 100 or 200 kilos here or there, realistically, but she goes.
Oh, you'd be happy with that,
Now, do not get me wrong, whenever you look at the fuel per hour, it's from 22 to fucking 33.
Right, okay.
But it's funny, you feel a vibration nearly through the actual steering wheel whenever she's actually obviously feeling the pull.
Yeah.
And she knows when to, whatever way they work the ECUs and that in them.
You nearly feel she kicks herself on a bit.
Well, or they've literally just turned the boost on whenever she's going to get whatever, she gives herself, because she's meant to go out till, you're 177, around that anyway. But it's mad to say now that 4-cylinders can do that.
I hear, and they're called pocket rockets for a reason,
Well, she's maybe a 6.5 ton tractor, 6 ton tractor, and that horsepower should be very good power to weight, yeah.
Oh, you'd have thought so. I think the T6s and the New Hollands, I think they're 4-cylinder as well, aren't they?
They are. I think the biggest one now is a 6-cylinder, but I'm not entirely sure.
I know they were. I know a T6 is kind of your equivalent of your.
But it's mad to say that a John Deere maps from 145 to 210 and takes it all day long.
But they've always been deadly well mapped, and I'm not a John Deere fan, but the
only thing that lets them down is
knock that
their weight. They just wouldn't be
the
heaviest.
They're hard in fuel too, really hard in fuel. Deers tend to be really hard in fuel.
Oh, well, then that's probably because they're drinking it to make that horsepower.
Yeah.
But here, Michael, side note.
Yes.
Bar your 11090, which is your favourite thing in the whole world, bar the Sierra, and your missus and all that. What has been your favourite experience in a tractor? Most fun to drive.
I'm about to absolutely contradict myself here.
Right, go.
I said probably about a minute ago I'm not a Deere fan. The most fun tractor I've ever driven in my life is a 6830.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. So McLean's one.
Yes.
Mapped.
Oh.
Deadly going thing.
Went well.
Yeah. Very well. Pod.
Oh.
You're coming through, this is the height of COVID. So you're coming through Mahara, and there's the big crossroads in Mahara. Or not well, it is a crossroads, kind of stagger crossroads, where the traffic lights is in the middle of the town.
So the traffic lights in the middle of the
coming through that, and should have just started with that. Coming through that, and it was maybe 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Bright summer's night. Real good weather. Nobody about. The town was packed during the day, right enough, but nobody about at night time. And just hearing that thing echoing through the town was unreal. They're a deadly sounding thing. Them 30 series Deers are a deadly sounding thing. Yeah, she was a lot of fun. All the rest of the boys were out in 6155 M's.
Yeah, yeah.
And they all had the newer H2 Herons, and I was out with a 14-ton classic, and it was good crack. I enjoyed that. I think just sounded unreal. It was a really fun tractor, and I like the fact you're still changing gears quite a lot. So you'd be coming through, and you'd go to clutch, and then say go into maybe D2 to E2 or something like that, and whoever drives Deers maybe sitting listening to me going, no, you shouldn't be doing that, but just say changing gears just lets us massive boo out of her, and I was like, that is unreal.
God help your eardrums.
Enjoyed it, to be fair. Why? What's been the most fun tractor you've ever driven, apart from obviously my 110? I'm joking, but in general, you've driven probably more than I have, so.
So I'll say what my most fun was, and then an honourable mention.
Okay.
So most fun is a John Deere as well.
Yes.
McLaren.
Big ups to the Deere boys.
Yes. McLaren Contracts 3050 they had back in the day. It was just fun to drive. It was just constant blipping through the gears and farting about, and She must have done about 32 mile an hour on the road. She was like the
There-
50k 50.
So the 30k 50 series done like 16 mile an hour on the road. They were
Yes.
so slow. And then the 40k 50s
We're a flying machine.
do like 33 mile an hour. It's so weird the way John Deere just done the gearbox. He just must have put like a really small like top gear in compared to like the 30 series, the 30k ones, like, because they fly. They're quick. They're as quick as an 8340. Like an 8340 is not supposed to do like 33 mile an hour either, but they do.
Oh, totally. Honorable mention for experience, just the driving it.
Yes.
828 Fendt in England
Oh,
with a 16-ton Bailey trailer. It was an experience.
I would say the 16-ton Bailey in the back of an 828 was probably just like
At
me pulling.
65k.
Jesus, that's too. I don't know. I think that's too fast.
You think that? So obviously, over
No, I
here,
know that.
Primarily, it's 40k's and 50k's. See, whenever you use the 50k, you just find it normal, and then you jump in the 65k. But it's more so like I used to think, oh, what would you ever want a Vario gearbox for? But see, whenever you're in them all day, every day,
yeah, I've heard this.
they're unreal to drive.
Mm-hmm.
You know, imagine you going along to get a load of grass. Instead of you flicking down gears and all that, yes, I know you probably for a couple of hours you enjoy it.
Oh yeah.
But if you're in day 3, 2 all-nighters done, could you be fucked? Probably not.
Keep
You
your
literally
leg,
just drive like you're fucking Bora. Just take your foot off the accelerator and she goes down herself. And then just put your foot down whenever you need to go forward and back.
I mean, I would say like everything. Like I always said, I could never drive an automatic car. And now, to be honest, like the Lexus is automatic, the Bora's automatic, and I love driving the both of them. And then you jump onto something else, and it's like, I have to change gear now. Fuck, I have to use a clutch. I'm in a hole. You like, you know, and you do. I think
So
you
are
do
you
end up
trying to
spoiling.
admit you can't drive?
Couldn't steer my finger up my arse. You know that. And
Well, they couldn't steer the charger into the fucking camera to begin with.
fuck, that was difficult. That was a nightmare. But anyway, I think we've covered that pretty well.
Didn't realise we talked for this long.
Yeah,
The audience will not realise that.
That's why I'm kind of trying to push us on
Fair
because
enough,
we've
yes.
still got a fair few things to talk about. So, gonna ask you, look
Uh-huh.
at me taking charge in this podcast for a change. Have you seen anything interesting, like sort of about the roads or anything on YouTube or anything recently? Have you seen anything that's caught your eye? Because while you're talking, I'm going to take out my phone and look because I forgot. But I've them written down. That's why I've written them down, because I forget.
Do you know the best of it?
You forgot.
I've forgotten all this segment. But anyway, we'll give it a go. One thing I would say I noticed.
Connor. Structure.
One thing I have to say I noticed when in England, in London, they love pops and bangs, and especially out of Ford Fiestas. So
That's kind of like the typical English thing, isn't it, though?
your
It's
Ford
kind-
Fiesta,
Yeah.
not lowered or anything, your standard wheels painted a different colour, and you're listening to music that I am not into, blaring out the windows, and every time you decel, it's pops and bangs.
Aye. That's... Yeah. Funny, you see the same, actually.
They might be loving life, but I was like,
Actually see the same when I was in America last year, and this isn't a flex, like, because I was away with work, but New York, BMWs, like 240As and 340As, all the same.
Ooh.
Pop and bang limiters fucking everywhere.
there's another thing actually I noticed. See the new M2?
Yes.
It actually looks like fuck all squared.
I think just in general, the new
No,
M...
no, like, have you seen the new M2?
I thought the M was like one of the better looking ones.
Oh, like, so the 2 Series very boxy looking. Nobody was really digging it, if you know what digging it when we talking. Nobody really liked it.
I like the 2 Series.
The new one.
Oh, I think
No,
I have seen
Have you
this.
seen the new M2 though? Oh, it's
think-
fucking well
I
looking.
think
son.
I actually have
It
seen
is
that.
actually well looking. So, do you know the way they've done the new M4 grille? That it's like the lines going across.
Yes.
Imagine, like, insert a photo. Now, people may go and say this is really nice.
Insert a photo and that I need to remember to do that.
Well, at least you can watch this back and it'll tell you.
I have to
But
watch it
oh
back and
my
edit.
god, it is not my cup of tea at all. To be fair, new cars. We'll do another segment on this because I've just remembered another great segment. You'll have to write it down. But
Just casually writing this down because we'll forget if we don't.
So, Michael, you notice anything different?
I have actually. And
Anything interesting?
I've got the phone. Actually, well, the first one was different. Got the phone out because, as I say, I forget. So wrote them down. Mar felt the other day.
You're like a ginger fish that forgets all the time.
Yes. Mar felt the other day. I seen this decked, or so I thought. Well, it was decked. Seen an Audi.
Mm-hmm.
Black Audi. Lying in Marfelt. Just a random sitting in the car park. And then on closer inspection, it wasn't an Audi at all.
Oh.
It was a 5 Series. But it was on like 20... well, it's not like. It was on 20-inch Audi wheels. Now, I've seen loads of Audis on BMW wheels. I have never seen a BMW on Audi wheels.
Do you know a fun fact?
What's
I have
that?
seen neither of these.
No, well, people would run like Tiger Claws. I've seen Tiger Claws on like A4s, like B7 A4s running Tiger Claws. Or Fat 5s.
I don't think I've really seen that much.
I've seen that done. I haven't seen, as I say, I haven't seen. So I'm wondering, either it's adapters or maybe Q7 wheels. Are they could be the same stud pattern.
They're 5x120.
Are they 5x120?
I'm near sure the Tiguan.
I thought they were maybe 5x1.
Tiguan, Touareg, and all the Jeeps are, because that's why I was surprised why Q5 S lines are 5x1.
Out of your car, yeah.
Because I always thought the Tiguan and the Q5 were essentially the same platform.
That is interesting. But that's what I look.
Because like my sister used to have a Tiguan R-Line and I had 19s, and I always thought them wheels would look unreal on a Passat or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But they were 5. Maybe they are 5x112. If they are, that'd be some job. Like
I just looked at it and just went, because all I seen was Audi wheels and a black car, and I went, fuck, I think stacked. And then went, wait a minute. And seen the rear lights and was like, it's a 5 Series. So
good or bad.
do you know what? Cool. I've just seen BMW wheels in so many different things, and I've seen Audi wheels in so many different things, but I've never seen Audi wheels in a BMW. So I thought that was pretty cool. Another cool thing, checking through the Spotify stats to see how many people listen, about 3. One of those was from New Zealand. New Zealand. Now, it could be someone who I have on Facebook, to be fair, who's out there. But that was pretty cool. So whoever you are from New Zealand, I appreciate you.
We're worldwide.
Thank you. Another cool thing I seen was, I think it's a 2J in it. Is it the Mark V Supra at Ibisu? Comes down the hill, like over the jump and down the hill, and like runs the wall.
Yes.
So sounded amazing. That wasn't the bit that really struck me though. It was more reading the comments, and it was on like Turbo King or one of those pages on Facebook. You know when you end up down the rabbit hole and you just come across these
random
videos.
Yes.
Well, I mean, obviously their algorithm works well. They're tailored to me, but it was just people saying, I can't understand drifting. Like, there's so many faster ways to get around a course, and I'm like, you're missing the point, you fucking dickhead. And so many people saying, this is so bad for a car. Like, why do they have to be sliding? And then people been like, the fact that this is judged makes this such an odd form of motorsport. And like, yes, that's why it's different.
Will do
it's all about style points.
a segment someday on Urtech and drifting.
Not that we can't.
Well, I have never tried, and you have, but
hence why I can say I can't. But yeah, we would. But that was I thought that was it's just the fact that everybody was like, oh, like this is like, I thought everybody in the comments would be going, listen to the sound of that. Oh, that sounds class. That's a Mark V with a 2J. But it was like, it must have been more mainstream. So it's just that all these people commenting saying this is ridiculous.
There's the thing. Realistically, if you could say it in another sense that James Dean Wright, he's period possibly the best drifter in the world. Now,
Yes.
I'm saying possibly because some people may argue some other people are better.
Well, maybe like Catch to see or something like that. Aye. But
Like,
modern
I
day,
know
nah, no one better.
Peter Visick is doing better at Europe and all that. But anyway, so like, how underappreciated is he not here now, bar the people that know what he does? Because if he was going on, like, say sports, like motorsport, sports personality of the year, James Dean's never going to get it.
Yeah.
Unless things obviously were to change, because whenever he says he's going drifting, all that people think he's going to do is
Hoop
her circle,
crossroads.
or
It's yeah, funny. I seen something about that recently. I think was it Speed Hunters maybe done it. It was like the greatest like driver you've never heard of.
yeah.
And it was about James Dean. I was like, literally, like this man is at the top of his game, and you never hear anything about him. Like there's never. Whereas, and I'm not shitting in any other sports, but if it was something more mainstream like football or boxing or something like that, you would hear.
Think
like,
how much the Formula One drivers make.
Yeah.
And then you have the likes of the drifters. Now, I know in America it's different because
Only
there's
is-
more money behind it.
Yeah.
Manufacturers are starting to
Yeah.
get behind it. But like, over here it just gets you're hooping across roads, or it has it still has this like stigma behind it.
Mhm.
They don't know the difference between power sliding and drifting.
Yeah. Oh,
And-
I completely agree.
Funny, just noting that, like I kind of was watching Drift Masters on
Mhm.
the TV at home.
Mhm.
And a relative happened to come in and, what are you watching? And I was explaining it to them. And their first thoughts were, sure, that's easy to understand who's going to win. Sure, he's further away from him and all that carry on. And I was like, I get where you're coming from in certain ways, because like realistically, a lot of them championships, until you're getting to like top 8,
Mm-hmm. It's kind of
top
one
8,
person
grade
may have a bad
4.
run, and
Like it's whenever they get to like far tighter, or
Mhm.
who's having a good day is having a good day and all that.
Mhm.
But yeah, no. Anything else you noticed?
I suppose or one other thing. Why do Toledos, as much as I like Toledos, why does every Toledo always have upswept tips? You don't really see them so much in Boros or Mark IV Golfs or anything anymore, but Toledos always have upswept tips. And I noticed that. I wrote this down when me and you went for pizza last week in the Type R to Marfelt, and there's 2 Toledos floating about Marfelt, and both of them had upswept tips.
No, you're right.
You always see them in
it
Toledos, even going back through the years. Like,
or some of them might have had oval tips. Maybe it's more because it looked like more for the Cupra style of things.
possibly, but most of them just tend to run upswept tips.
I think they suit them better, because if you look at a Bora will upset,
It
the
doesn't.
letterboxes.
It's just a bit, yeah. The Bora, I think, suits like a wee double exhaust on one side. I don't think Boras suit
I don't think.
dual
Bora's
exhaust.
wouldn't be the biggest fan of it. Like Mark II Leon's pull off quads,
Yes.
but in my opinion, have to be kitted.
Oh, absolutely. Without a doubt.
What else really suits? Mark IV Golfs can get away with twins, one on either side, but not so much quads.
No, quads are a bit rash. We're on them, I think, but upsweps,
Like Passats suit quads.
they do. Actually, Conor Kelly had quads, I think.
No, he had twin.
Oh,
No,
right.
he had twin
Like-
exit.
That's what it was.
You
You used to see, like, I remember Finbar and like Chris Kerr used to have like them Porsche tips back in the day, which is one small one and one big one. The dual exits.
yes.
They're pretty cool, even. And I say, like, well, Jetta's suited the twin exits better than the Mark IVs, in my opinion. But just that was something I noticed is like even going back through the years to all the Toledos I've ever thought of. Like, I'm just like, these all have upswept tips. So that, like, yeah, like, here, look, maybe just something I've noticed.
Can I bring us in then to very swiftly into the next wannabe trying to do it segment?
Go on ahead.
So we're going to try and do like spring something on upon I'm going to give Michael something, which one he prefer, give a small explanation to why you prefer it, or we'll be here all night.
This week, or do we just do it one a week? This
One
is
a week.
how unprepared we are. Okay.
One a week.
Yeah. So you're doing it to me this week.
Yes.
Remind me this is the thing next time.
I'd probably forget as well.
So will I.
So I have 2 for you, but I'll save one for another time, which I'll
Okay.
probably forget anyway.
Go
You're going into a
on.
man's yard,
I'm in a man's yard.
right? You're about to lift a 20-foot silage tiller.
Okay.
You have a Heron Hitch 2
Yes.
or a Red Rock half pipe.
Yes.
Which one do you go for,
Red Rock half pipe.
and why?
I feel like if I heal a Red Rock over, it's not going to do the same damage.
Well,
But what tractor am I pulling it with? Do we just assume it's fit for either? Because a Red Rock is a heavier trailer. Or at least they were anyway. Like the old Red Rocks were built like fucking brick shithouses.
and the Hull mower,
they do howl more. Like a 16 ton. Well, yeah.
The classic Heron actually holds more than a H2.
Yeah, it does.
But so you go for the Red Rock?
Yeah, I go for a Red Rock, yeah. But if the Red Rock had the black or the grey cribs,
Yes.
then I'd probably go for the Heron.
Really?
Yeah, I like full Red Rocks.
To be fair, I was like, what are they doing when they come out with a grey? But see now, when you see them in person, and they're on behind like maybe a Massey or something like that, I have doubt. Now, what I did really like was in the top grille at the front of them, they had the laser cut Red Rock logo
Yeah.
and then they've went, oh, we're lazy and we'll just put stickers on now.
Oh,
You know, they've two stickers up at the top now.
right.
To be fair, I would have to agree there. If it was me personally, then
You'd go Red Rock as well.
partly because I grew up with
I
Red Rocks
didn't
all the
think
time.
you would say anything other than Red Rock. I actually thought you were going to ask me Red Rock or Keane. That would have been...
Well, you've towed a Heron before.
Yeah.
And you've towed a Red Rock before, I think.
Yeah.
Have you towed a Keane?
The fact I have to think about it means I probably haven't.
And to be fair, I've towed a Heron.
Yes, I have towed a Keane. Yeah, I have.
I've towed a Red Rock and I've towed a Heron Keane on Red Rock. And Keane, you don't look behind you.
No, same as the Fraser.
Because they're very soft springs
Same
and
as
less
Fraser's.
upgraded.
Yeah, same as Fraser.
Red Rock, I always thought I really liked, them come back. Well, basically they didn't sway side to side and they just went out. They went anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Slow to tip though.
Yeah.
Oh, they're not there. I've never had hydraulic backdoor trailer on before. Never been. Well, unless a dump trailer, but we're talking about silage trailers here. So you go for that, and any other reason as to why other than like what tractor would you, in theory, like to be pulling it with? Very agriculturally minded, this podcast.
If I was given a 16-ton...
20 ton, 20 foot, because you have to remember they're all high green sides these days.
I would love to have that in the back of a 180-90. Screwed to the absolute washers. So massive, I think they're like an 8.3 engine or something, maybe an 8.1. Big displacement engine. Serious amount of torque. Now, I think they only do like 32k. They're deadly slow.
Yes.
But if you were drawing that, say, from, say, a field right across to the yard, I'd love, like, I don't know if you were expecting me to say something like that, but if it was something else, I would maybe have said a T7 250 or a 195 case or something like that. But I would love to have something like that in the back of a 180-90. Just something pure old school power, and you get sick after maybe about 3 hours. You'd be like, I just want to sit in something more comfortable.
Well,
but
sure, last year at the grass, you took your tractor down to mine, and for the crack and a bit of enjoyment, and sure to get it out to run on that. Well, you ended up being sick for the first 3 years,
Yeah.
and then so your tractor was lying in the yard with your trailer on it.
Yes.
And brother was taking his children out to run, and he said, I would stand about, and he was like, sure, screw it, jump into Michael's tractor whenever he's not here. That was grand. Your tractor was unreal crack for the first load.
Yeah.
The second load was a bit of a pain.
Yeah.
The third load was like, fuck me, how does anybody do this all day?
It's
Unreal fun, but my God, like,
the worst.
maybe I can't drive my finger up my own arse. I'll admit, if that's the case, whenever anybody hears this. You could go up the gears, no bother, but getting down them was another thing.
She's tight enough. The thing that annoys me about the 110, as much as I love her, she's not built for doing silage for modern day.
I'll tell you another thing. I do apologise in advance, but I might have, when I seen you drive her, I drove the absolute dung out of her.
I'm not too bad on her. You'd be a harder driver than I would be anyway, to be fair.
And if anybody wants to see how quick a 50-foot row fills a 13-foot freezer trailer, we will insert a video right about
we
now.
will do that now. That was a fun day, to be fair. But that's what I will say is, if you were doing wet grass, right, and big 50-foot rows, like where the harvester's doing, say, maybe 4 mile an hour or something, like, or 4K or something like that, like going real slow, I would have to drop into the middle box.
Oh.
Right? And unlike modern tractors with feet, you can't change up boxes. You can change gears, but you can't change up boxes. You have to come to a complete stop. So if I wanted to go from the mid to the high box,
You have to stop.
I would have to come to a complete stop.
You're a bit fucked in the middle of a hill, aren't you?
Correct. That's, yeah. To be honest, if I come to a big hill, I'd have to slow the harvester down. That's something I was thinking about, that big hill that Art Lone used to have. If I had something bigger on and I was coming up that hill, I would be like, Rory, you're going to slack back here and let me do this in like mid-fifth, because she'll pull herself down. Like, if I had 13 ton on behind, like in the wee Fraser, it was never going to be a baller. Like, but if I had a decent trailer on behind.
To be fair, the wee Fraser, she didn't even have flotations on, so even the smaller flotations, she didn't mark the ground at all.
Just too late.
But even not that way, like, because it was 10 o'clock at night whenever we were doing that ground.
Yeah.
And now the grass, obviously, the dew on it. Like, it didn't mark it at all. Which I was kind of surprised about, and you were on the wet bit of the field too.
I don't think I'll maybe try and venture into that bit this year if I get a chance to come down.
Oh, well, you're invited.
Wouldn't mind a better trailer, but have you looked at prices of sage trailers recently? It's fucking diabolical.
Everything's diabolical.
Everything's diabolical. But moving on from that segment, so yes, next podcast I will ask a comparison question for you. So bringing in probably this to an end, because I've realised we've yattered on about farming this entire podcast, which is ironic because I'm wearing a non-farming related hoodie this time.
Here.
Last week last podcast,
You in New Holland.
I was in a Grassman top in the last one. We were talking about Dubshed. Now this time round we're talking about tractors, and I'm in a Limitless top, and you're the Drift Games top. No, I've actually written down here, because again, forget. There's been I've had a few ones write to me on either between the page and my own sort of messages. You would see the ones on the page as well. And probably having the car with the stickers on a Dubshed probably helped as well. People would be, oh, that's who that guy is from that podcast.
Yes.
To maybe the 3 people that actually recognised the podcast. But I had a couple of ones write to me, so I felt like I had to include them.
Yeah, of course.
First one was Alan Kelly.
Oh.
Yes, Alan Kelly. So he has the Chaser JZX81.
Yes.
Used to have the purple Tesla.
Yes.
Real nice guy. He's in Australia. Sent me a video of him listening to us in like a big Moxie dumper, and the man's in Australia.
Deadly.
So I did see a couple of Australian listeners. I might have an idea who the other ones are, I think. And if it's not them, well then, oh dear. Well, not oh dear. Like,
thanks for listening down under.
I appreciate listening down under regardless, but I thought that was a nice touch. Like, he sent me that video. He's like, "Oh, you're keeping me company here in the cab," and I was like, "That's deadly." Like, so big ups to Alan. Also, one of the self-proclaimed king of the felts, Gary Nickel. Gary Nickel wrote to me as well. He was saying about he went up just talking about D-turbos and reek, and talked about more about reek, but. No, I told Gary then I'd give him a shout out as well because he wrote to me.
Oh, of
and
course,
I was like, fair play to you.
Definitely.
So maybe, probably at some point, if we're getting down to the port or whatever, and he's knocking about in something felt, I'll have to try and get a photo of it and drop it in one of the podcasts. But yeah, so I've very big ups to Gary as well. He messaged me. Shane McCourt messaged me as well. Fella from Cookstown. Noticed. Shane is currently building an E60. He says he wants to turn it into a show car. I tell him good luck. Told him to go VIP spec.
E65 series?
Yes. They're kind of 7 series would be more where you go VIP spec, but I think you could get away with a 5 series. But I do remember, I think this is his second one, because I do remember he used to have a black one.
It'd just be the same as like an A6.
Pretty much.
You could get away with it.
You could get away with it. And they're kind of at the stage where they're a bit more classic. They're not. I mean, they're still a fairly modern car, but like you have to remember the early E60s. I just bit my tongue there. the early E60s.
Maybe it'll shut them up.
The early E60s are 18 years old. 05 they first come out, I think.
Fuck.
Yeah. So
Maybe I'm being stupid here, but they are. Is it pre-LCA then, and then you have the LCA?
So
ones
you
that
had the
goes
original ones came out with the same engine that had the 330, like that came in the 530D, E39s, and E46. So you had the M57 engine, and
Yeah.
then when I think they changed to the N57, is that not the whole?
I don't have a clue.
Or did they change to N57 and then they had the LCA after that? I don't know because I don't know enough about them, and I just know that M57 is a 3-litre engine, and we both asked questions that neither of us actually know the answers to. But anyway, I do remember seeing this thing about Cookstown. It was fucking decked. That 5 Series. It was in a set of Fat 5s, black one. Slammed. Like mud flaps trailing the road. Kind of what I thought.
They look fucking unbelievable.
That's what I was so that's
slammed.
that was kind of one of the cars that was in my head whenever we in like episode 2 when I was talking about like it's not Feltspec but it's Felty.
Is it not Felt Plus?
Yeah, probably. I would say like the newer stuff now is probably Felt Plus. That's just Felty.
Well, you're not going to say Mark 7 Golf's Felt Plus. It's Felty. You'll say
but
A6 is Felt Plus.
Yeah, A6
'Cause it's
definitely.
fancy.
Yeah. Well, I mean E60. Don't get me wrong, they're a fancy, but like I would say the new ones, the new E6, like not E6, the new 5 Series. Obviously, they'd be classed as Felt Plus now, but back in the day when we first talked about Felt Plus, an E60 was like the obvious choice.
Yes.
But-
yes.
So I remember this thing; it was absolutely fucking slammed, and I was like, "That's cool." So yeah, he wrote to me, and I was like, "All right, cool. I'll give you a shout out." And had to give a shout out to Rob Bill because everyone calls him John Bill. It's not his fucking name. Rob, it's Rob. Rob helped me.
Well, it's not half confusing, like, to be fair.
Rob helped me put my
Sort your fucking name and Facebook out.
He helped me put my bonnet on at
Oh.
Dubshed.
Well, he helped us take it off.
Oh, that's right. That's what it was. Nick helped me put it on. Big ups to Nick as well.
That's a bastard.
It's a cunt. But anyway,
You had to get it off, though.
yeah, had to get it.
And
off.
even better yet, you have to get your wipers off.
Had to get the wipers off. Had to get Pierce to give me. Well, it was a fucking rigmarole. Had to get Cameron to take Pierce's toolbox so I could use it because I had only remembered to take the 19 and the 22 for the wheels and for the steering wheel. I didn't even bother doing the steering wheel at the end because I was able to get it lined up without. So I had to use their tools. But anyway, Rob, whether he meant it, whether he was being sarcastic or not, he said, "Give me a shout out in the podcast." I goes, "Here, cheers for that." And he goes, "Oh, sure, give me a shout out in the podcast." Whether he's being sarcastic or not, he's got a shout out.
You know what else he's very good at?
What?
Catching me off guard and Tim.
Shreddy bumped into you there not that long ago.
Is it the food bit getting a baguette, chicken roll, and I felt this tap and was like, "Holy fuck!"
No, you felt this tap and then went, "Holy fuck!"
Yeah,
Because he's like 6'8".
And then the other time, he was in his Mazda.
Yes.
Having to think there because there's that many bloody cars. And I was like, "Oh, hello," because somebody else had said hello, or I'd recognized somebody else as I was walking out, and then I was like, "Oh, hello." So yeah, it just totally caught me off guard. Seems to be he's catching me off guard all the time. But yeah,
But anyway, so we've realized this podcast is probably, well, I mean, we say like all of them. They all, like, I mean, I thought the last one last week wasn't that long, and it ended up being like an hour 10 or something.
the first 5 minutes, I hope to God he edits out because they are gibberish.
Yeah, we talked pure dirt. Like, I think it was nearly maybe closer to the first 10. So, again,
But anyway,
this one's going to be coming up on an hour 15 if we
Yes.
don't stop talking. So,
but yeah, that's the end of this podcast. Hopefully, you've all enjoyed it.
a bit more farmer focused this week. We do get people writing to us. I've had a few people writing to me on through the page and also through just my own pages, just saying I like the cars, but had a fella there write to me. Suppose this episode's been a bit more farming related.
Yes.
I'm sick to fucking death of cars after the last few weeks of Dubshed prep.
And I'm sure after 6 episodes, you're now thankful that he's not going to talk about his Sierra.
I think the world is probably grateful for that one, to be fair. But
And if anybody sees Michael and asks him, "Do you own a Sierra, lad?" Don't blame you.
just ignore it. Just if you mention
It was
I'll
worse years ago when he had a 207.
if you mention it, I'll talk about it. So just don't ask me. But we've had a few messages of one saying here, would like to hear, love the podcast, would love to hear about more about farming. Me and you are both from farming backgrounds. I enjoy massively talking about the farming related stuff as well. So, it's kind of it's as much a thing for us as the cars. So
Yeah.
so definitely happy to talk about the farming. So on that note, we're going to end. He
Yes.
is,
Conor McGowan.
and on all socials you are,
Conor.McGow.
because you remember this time.
And if you've ever seen me about K20 MGO in the Civic and C6 MGO in the Golf, don't be afraid to flash your lights.
Good, that's a good save. Just had to follow up with that. And I am Michael Scullin _ on all socials. And on the page, it's Lemonade Slip Differences on Insta and TikTok. I need to push that more again, but with all the Dubshed prep,
With the disease of busyness.
with it being absolutely down with the busy, I didn't get any chance to do any extra TikTok, and so yeah. On that note, best of luck.
And also, just to say, note, we're not sponsored by them, but Monster, if you want to sponsor us, go for it, because I've bought enough.
Yeah, I don't want to know how much of my life I've spent in Monster, but anyway, it keeps us going, because, every time we say, yeah, we're going to do this podcast early, and it's now 11:30,
Well, I did arrive at fucking 8 o'clock.
and I was mowing the lawn. Right.
He was first cut fucking grass.
Second cut, actually.
The
Right.
self-propelled harvester.
Enough shit talking. I'm away. See you later.
All the best, guys. Have a good one.